Long before Columbus set foot on the New World, a forgotten kingdom rose on the shores of North America. Built not by native tribes, not by later European settlers, but by fierce warriors from across the Atlantic. They called it Vinland. It was a land of promise, rich with wild grapes, fertile fields, and towering forests. And yet, it vanished without a trace. This is the story of the Viking kingdom that time tried to erase. In the late 10th century, Norsemen from Greenland and Iceland gazed westward into the unknown. Led by Leif Erikson, son of the legendary Eric the Red, they set sail beyond the map's edge. The sagas speak of wild seas, icebergs, and storms that tested even the bravest sailors. They were not aimless wanderers. The Norse were seasoned navigators, using sunstones, stars, and the memory of ocean swells to guide them. Word had spread from earlier voyages of a mysterious land spotted by Bjarni Herjolfsson years before, a land that seemed warmer, greener, and far richer than the frozen north. And so the longships cut through the waves, chasing the horizon. After weeks at sea, they saw it, a coastline unlike anything in Greenland. Rolling hills, meadows, rivers teeming with salmon. Leif called the first place they landed Helluland, the land of flat stones, likely modern-day Baffin Island. They sailed south, reaching a forested region they named Markland, the land of forests, probably Labrador. But it was further still, in a place warm enough for wild grapes to grow, that they would find their prize, Vinland. The sagas describe it as almost paradise compared to the harsh north. The Vikings built turf houses, stored food, hunted game, and fished the waters. Here they dreamed of a permanent colony. The settlement at Lonso Meadows in Newfoundland, now the only confirmed Norse site in North America, may have been their gateway to Vinland. But according to the sagas, the kingdom extended far beyond, possibly into modern-day New Brunswick or even New England. For a brief moment in history, Norse culture touched the Americas. Iron tools, shipbuilding techniques, Norse law, all were brought to this new frontier. Women came too, which meant they planned to stay. They traded with the native inhabitants, whom they called Skraelings, but the peace would not last. At first, the trade was simple: furs, hides, and goods exchanged for Norse tools and weapons. But misunderstandings grew. The sagas speak of disputes over weapons, theft, and acts of violence. One account describes a Viking bull escaping into a native camp, sparking chaos. The Skraelings outnumbered the Norse by far. Skirmishes broke out, and soon the dream of Vinland turned into a desperate fight for survival. In one famous episode, Freydis Eirik's daughter, Leif's half-sister, charged into battle while pregnant, wielding a sword and screaming to intimidate the enemy. The Skraelings fled, but the war was far from over. The Norse realized that holding Vinland was impossible without constant reinforcements from Greenland and Iceland. The distance was too great, the winters too harsh, and the natives too many. Slowly, the settlements were abandoned. Turf houses collapsed. Longships stopped crossing. By the mid-11th century, Vinland was gone. The sagas suggest they kept visiting for timber and resources, but the dream of a kingdom across the Atlantic had ended. For centuries, Vinland was dismissed as a Norse legend, a tall tale told by old sailors. But in 1960, archaeologists Helge and Anne Stein Ingstad discovered Lonso Meadows in Newfoundland. The site contained unmistakable Viking artifacts, iron nails, ring pins, and buildings built in the Norse style. Carbon dating confirmed. The Vikings were in North America nearly 500 years before Columbus. Still, the full scope of Vinland remains a mystery. Was it just a seasonal outpost, or a lost kingdom stretching deep into the continent? No one knows for sure. Vinland's story is not just about exploration, it's about ambition, risk, and the limits of empire. The Norse reached the New World, and yet they could not hold it. Today, Vinland lives on in the sagas, in archaeological digs, and in the whispers of possibility that somewhere under the forests of North America, traces of the Viking kingdom still wait to be found. We often think history is set in stone, but what if entire chapters were erased? What if a European kingdom once stood on American soil centuries before Columbus, and the land itself swallowed it whole? The Vikings came to the edge of the world, and for a moment they called it home.